Now let's switch over to your. So I have this
this
one. This one, okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm not gonna go through all of it, but let's go to page 3.
4. Oh, page 3. Okay,
So
and I'm
page
going to
3
go
just
into
quickly.
reader view because then.
So this was the evidence that on page 3.
This is page 3,
Yeah,
right?
page 3.
Okay.
So this is the evidence that ultimately like was a light bulb for me, went off when I saw this transcript. This is where on October 2020, there was a meeting at the Vaccines and Biologics Committee of the FDA with Operation Warp Speed. And Doran Fink was at the time with Operation Warp Speed and then later on went to work for Moderna, of course. So Doran Fink here is being asked whether they are using expanded access use. Remember that one pathway that's investigational expanded access use, that's not EUA. That's he was asked specifically, are you using expanded access use for this Operation Warp Speed to like accelerate it? And Doran Fink says, no, we're switching to the EUA pathway. So they're on the countermeasures, non-investigational path. And he cites specifically that requirements for IRB and informed consent, they don't want them because that would slow them down, something like that. So he has this evasive language, but mentions that they don't want to have institutional review board and they don't want to have obligatory informed consent.
Yeah. So he says here, those regulations, so the ones for this expanded access protocol, those regulations require use of an institutional review board, the IRB that we discussed, and also obtaining informed consent from recipients of the investigational vaccine. Here you see it's the investigational pathway.
Uses the word investigational. They know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly. According to the regulations for clinical investigations, research use of investigational vaccines. And that's what they wanted to avoid. It could not be an investigational vaccine, and that meant it could not be the expanded access protocol because that is an investigational pathway. So that's why they didn't do it.
So they're saying,
and that was
October
2020.
October 2020.
And that was FOIA'd.
They said we are on the EUA countermeasures pathway very, very clearly.
Yeah,
so let's go to the next slide.
That's right. That was the Food and Drug Administration Center for Biologics Evaluation. Prasad is the head of this, right? The CBER.
Now Prasad is head of CBER. At the time, it was Peter Marks.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So
he is, infamous Peter Marks. Right. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, so this is the kind of analogous to your sewage pipe example, but this is exactly how they pull this off. So you see, this is the timeline. In early 2020, March, April, both Pfizer and Moderna opened INDs. So again, everybody claims, oh, no, they're investigational because look, there's an IND file. Well, yeah, you can open a file, you can get a permit to build a house and never build it. And so they opened IND with FDA, then proceeded whatever the activities they're doing. By October 2020, we have a confirmation from Operation Warp Speed that we're using non-investigational pathway. So this IND file is inapplicable now. So we switched to this EUA countermeasure pathway over here, non-investigational. And they completed their programs, including their so-called clinical trials, which are not clinical trials, the phase 3 studies, under this EUA in the sewage pipe. And then they went on the market. And then in August of 2021, we have this magical BLA approval. So if you can click one.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. I just want to comment that
click one more.
I didn't. Which one shall I click?
Just, click one more time on the slide because there's an image.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So I'm saying, was there magic leap here? How did you jump from the sewage pipe to the water pipe? And they're claiming that they did. And so since 2021, now they're issuing new versions, cranking out new products and derivatives, claiming that their entire platform now satisfies BLA. Well, it doesn't, because look what happened. They're just lying about this.
So this is very interesting. So they opened an IND. They opened an IND. Why didn't they open a BLA? I mean, it's a biologic. They shouldn't have.
Well, the IND
opened a BLA.
It applies to both BLAs and FDA.
Okay.
IND.
Okay.
It's a file. It's a file number, and it stands for investigational new drug exemption. So it's basically because the law prohibits introduction into interstate commerce of non-approved products, you have to get an exemption first, because as a manufacturer, you're going to be shipping it for clinical trial sites. So that's why it's called IND, investigational new drug exemption. And so this file gets opened, you get a number assigned to yourself, and then you start compiling all the data into that number file. So they did that. They opened as if we are embarking on investigational journey here, and then they switched to the non-investigational one, and then they're saying, "Oh no, retroactively, all of this applies." No, it doesn't.
So, I didn't know that they had opened an IND. So it looked like when you looked in, I don't know, June 2020 or July, it looked like, oh yes, they're starting to build a water main. They opened this IND. Nothing here about EUA. And then they switched in October. That was when this Fink guy, Doran Fink, when he talked about why they were going to use.
Yeah, they
That's the same time.
they clearly switched right away from the very beginning, and that IND was a deception. It's just that by October we have, so at least by October we have a confirmation that they are on EUA pathway.
Oh, okay. So how do you know that it wasn't? I agree that I think so too. But how do you prove that it was just like a trick to open this IND to fool the public?
It's not really provable unless you have some sort of internal communication that says that. But what I'm saying here is the way the law is written and the evidence that all of these participants knew exactly what they were doing according to the law. The law actually opens EUA immediately with the PrEP Act declaration. So PrEP Act declaration is an umbrella for EUA to be open for all sorts of things to be used.
Okay.
And so this IND opening was just part of the theater.
Okay. And then you have this switch to EUA in October, and then you have the switch back. Lots of switcheroos here. Switch back to the BLA approval. So you know what it is.
We have like a water drinking water pipe connects to sewage pipe for several months, and then comes out again, and they're saying, "Oh no, it's a good water."
Yeah, this is. You know what this is, Sasha? It's a miracle.
It is a miracle.
It's like what is it? Like water to wine? Water to wine. No, it's sewage to water in this case, and it's a true miracle.
Yes.
Right.
So, and then you can switch to the other file. I'll show what Moderna examples of what Moderna did, so people understand. So this is all from Moderna's non-clinical program, which is based on production obtained by Judicial Watch in 22. And to my knowledge, I'm the only person who read 700 pages of total nonsense. Took me several weeks to just read and try to make sense of it. And to date, nobody else has commented on it. So, but
did they have to sue to get this information?
Yeah, they actually had to sue to obtain this production. And it's very brief, but it has critical information. So, for example, so this is what I found. This is from their summary tables of their entire non-clinical program. You can see that these studies that they're including here. We'll go back. Yeah. So this is, for example, so there are sections. There's pharmacology, toxicology, biodistribution. So here's pharmacology. You can see that all of these studies are non-GLP. So here we failed BLA standard by having non-GLP studies. And by the way, a lot of these studies were conducted for Moderna by NIH.
Wow. For Moderna by NIH.
And they're all non-GLP.
It says no.
Yeah, where it says VRC, you see like some of them are marked VRC, and the report number is like VRC2, VRC5, VRC7, 4.
Where's wait,
In
where's
the
that?
last column says VRC in some of them.
Oh yes, here VRC. Right.
VRC, that means a Vaccine Research Center of NIH.
Oh, wow.
Right, and that's why NIH receives a lot of money, something
Here too.
$400 million.
VRC05.
Yeah. So
Oh, lots of them. Look at that. Here,
so the
1,
so the
2,
U.S.
3,
government,
4,
NIH
5.
specifically, and Anthony Fauci personally have profited from this handsomely.
Mm-hmm. Right. And here also
And
everything is
they're
known.
all non-GLP because NIH doesn't hold themselves responsible to any standard.
And these are the good laboratory practices, GLP.
So as a manufacturer, you can do as many non-GLP studies as you like, but they're just not applicable to approval, especially key approval studies.
Yeah.
So these are all of the pharmacology, all of the entire pharmacology section from non-clinical package is non-GLP. So let's go to the next.
Right. So you could have just told people who didn't know any better, well, look, we did all these studies, you know, we even did them together with the NIH. Look at them. And you just leave out this column here, GLP. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one.
So next one is this is the tissue distribution study. This is biodistribution for Moderna. Was done with a non-representative, with bananas instead of apples, with the mRNA 1647, which is not Spikevax. By the way, mRNA
It's not Spikevax?
No, Spikevax.
That's ridiculous.
Spikevax is mRNA 1273, and they're testing 1647. And 1647 is a unapproved experimental product consisting of 6 different mRNAs, which Moderna was studying for cytomegalovirus in 2017. So they dusted up their shelves. They found this study that from a program that failed in 2017 for a product that wasn't approved, that wasn't Spikevax, was conducted in non-GLP, and submitted it as a key tissue biodistribution study for Spikevax.
Wow.
And there's no other biodistribution study that they've done.
Wow.
Okay.
And
if
breathtaking.
If you go to
they didn't even test it on the spike, the spike protein thing. Unbelievable. The chutzpah, right? They were just whatever. Nobody
goes,
nobody understands. Nobody knows. We are under EUA. We are.
And just appreciate that FDA reviewers are not children from the street. They're professionals. They know all this that I'm saying, and they sit there, close their eyes, and say, "Oh, it's all okay."
We didn't have a single. Did we have a single whistleblower from the FDA coming?
There were no whistleblowers from the FDA, but there was this incident of I forget the name of her. She was in charge of safety. She was kind of equivalent to Noel Wasion. I'm blanking on the name. So she resigned, and her immediate deputy also resigned, ostensibly because they were being pushed to approve this stuff and review. And there are internal emails that were FOIA'd where Peter Marks was yelling at them to go faster and approve everything. So similar to what the EMA leaks have demonstrated. So she resigned, but it's not clear because she also is part of she signed off on a bunch of key things. So that resignation may have been part of the theater as well. But at least there's that indication that this was going on.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? There's this German saying. So when I translated, it's something like, when the cat is out of the house, the mice start dancing on the table.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what they're doing. Dancing on the table. Yeah. And so let's go to the next page. Yeah. So this is continued on this biodistribution. So the biodistribution study fails BLA standard 3 times, and you don't need to be a scientist to understand this. You can just look at the title of the study. The title of the study, it says non-GLP in not Spikevax and only in male rats, while you are prescribing this vaccine to women, pregnant women, and girls. And so you can't do that by US law. You have to study a representative product, and you have to study it in the population for which it will be indicated. And obviously they didn't.
Oh my God. How can they look themselves in the mirror? I mean, it's just, they must have known that this was just a complete
Yeah,
fraud.
you can just run it through an algorithm and it will kick it back and say, well, it failed 3 times here.
Yeah.
Right?
Gives you, and it looks all, if you didn't hear, page 1 of 280.
Oh yeah,
Page
so
1, it's the
the study
sponsor, the
itself,
test, it all looks.
yeah, this is just the final report
Yeah.
from Charles River Labs. And oh yeah, and this was done in 2017. And I think on the next page, maybe there's another page I'm showing. Yeah, so this is toxicology portion of the non-clinical assessments, and this is another deception they pulled. So you can see that they studied, in this case, those studies at the top are GLP, but they're all non-representative product. They're all different mRNAs. They're not Spikevax.
Yeah, different, all sorts of different numbers.
Uh-huh.
1706, 61653, 1893, 1647, 1443.
Yeah. Again, you don't need to be a scientist to know this. Toxicology continues, so you see non-representative products, and then when they are studying mRNA 1273, it's non-GLP.
So the only reason then they were doing all these studies was so that they could point to them, or to the media, or to anybody. I mean, FDA must have understood that this was just a
FDA
complete
knew
hoax. But yeah, they knew exactly. But if you had talked to a journalist, I mean, that guy would have no idea what this mRNA 1893 is, and that it's not the Spikevax. So this was all just a big performance or production, to give the impression that they were doing all these rigorous studies and tests, right?
Yeah. So just produce a pile of paper to say, oh, we did a lot of things. And yeah, maybe it's not totally complete, but it's mostly good. So that was the whole purpose for this.
And look at this impressive number here. Test facility study number 5002121. Maybe that number is made up as well. Who knows? That's all covered under the PrEP Act. I mean, it looks so impressive and serious, and page 1 of 280. And there's the test facility. It's in where is it?
In Canada.
It's in Canada, in Quebec. Charles River Laboratories, Montreal.
It's a very large animal studies provider in the industry.
Yes, a nice logo. They put some nice thought into this. Look at this nice little icon here with the waves. All very professional.
Yeah.
And it's all crap. It's all just a huge. It's like going to the theater.
So
end of
yeah,
slide.
so that's and this is just one of the examples. I mean, our petition goes through numerous examples like this, where there's absolutely not even the minimal compliance with biologics licensing standards, and that's why the FDA must act if they continue sitting on this. And with this administration that promised, remember, they promised all sorts of things on the campaign trail that they're going to go after. RFK Jr., I had discussed, by the way, I have discussed this, Moderna files, specifically this non-GLP and switcheroos and not studying the proper materials with him in 2022. There is over an hour interview of me.
I listened to it. Yeah. It's a good interview.
So he knows this. And he knew it before he ran, and he knew to say the right things on the campaign trail. So we just want to hold him accountable for the promises that he made and for the knowledge that he has, and he can't deny this knowledge.
So actually, I have a question about that. Do you think that RFK is happy about this petition? Because, I mean, what is this? You could think, okay, great, this petition is great because it's going to help me put pressure on the FDA to actually grant the petition. and to tell these guys what I want to tell them all along, but I can't because I don't want to get fired. But this is wonderful. It really actually helps me against the all the resistance that he's facing.
Well, I hope that's the case. So, when Bill Cassidy was extracting all those, commitments from RFK Jr., you can't take vaccines away, you can't do this, you can't do that during the confirmation process. Okay, well, Bill Cassidy cannot make a condition of confirming RFK Jr. or firing him from his job as violating U.S. law. So we're hoping that with this petition, RFK Jr. can come back to all those people who are yelling for his dismissal and impeachment and so forth and say, violating U.S. law is not part of my job. I can make a whole bunch of political promises, but I can't make this one.
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve honesty and transparency. I'm not a political commentator. I don't do politics. I am not, I'm not going to kind of like divide on the political lines. This is not a political issue. This is an issue of U.S. law as it's written, a clear violation of it. And we can have a whole bunch of arguments in pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. Some people love vaccines, some people hate vaccines. I don't care. All I'm asking, tell the truth to the public and they can make their own adult decisions. By the way, we can't mandate this kind of stuff. These are EUA countermeasures. They cannot be mandated. And yeah, we should also not mandate all vaccines either because they're poisons. But again, let's proceed from being all on the same page, from honesty, transparency, and following the law.
So we're almost done, but I have a question for you that I think is interesting. So now that they have slapped this fraudulent BLA label on the sewage stuff, it's still the products, the mRNA shots for COVID and Moderna, they're still covered as medical countermeasures under the PrEP Act. And that is really interesting because you would think, okay, now that they have this fancy label on there, why is it that they should still be covered under the PrEP Act for COVID-19? Because you cannot make the case for, just in case of an unapproved use of an approved product. No, that doesn't work with this kind of product, right? So the only thing that is left is the appropriate use. And you already have that now covered under a BLA. Why do you need to have that in the PrEP Act?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, so that should clue people in. That's another confirmation of what we're saying, that these are misbranded products. Because if they were, why do they still require PrEP Act protection? And anybody who receives, so people are told, these are fully approved, these are BLA licensed vaccines. When you receive this vaccine after you're injured, you then realize that your only compensation avenue is countermeasures injury compensation program. So that should tell you this is the governing law. So there's this concept of what is the governing law in complex disputes. Sometimes it can be gray area. One party claims it's under Food and Drugs and Cosmetics Act, and the other party claims no, this is under PrEP Act. And so you start arguing about it. When you come to court, and the courts consistently kick out all the cases. And I also have written a case law review now, the 4 years of legal cases around it. There are thousands of cases. So I've compiled case law review, and it's night and day. It's very clear, black and white. All the courts have ruled that PrEP Act continues to be governing law for these products. If the PrEP Act is continuously governing law for these products, they are countermeasures no matter what FDA says.
Right. And then the other question I have is the EUA still in place for mRNA shots for kids?
I think they removed. I'm not sure. I have to check. I think they removed those recently because of the new updated CDC recommendation schedule. But I'm not sure.
I read somewhere that the EUA is actually still in place for Pfizer and Moderna mRNA COVID shots for young kids, so 6 months to 11 years.
Under 5 or under 7 or something like that. Yeah, I think we still have that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's also quite remarkable, right? They have the EUA in place for young kids.
Yeah.
Hasn't been
Well,
removed.
we're saying do the same for the rest of it. Just label
Yeah.
it EUA and give proper disclosure.
Yeah, but what is that to have the same product and it's labeled emergency use for one group of people and
Yeah,
non-emergency use for the
so
rest?
that technically is okay. As I said, you can have approved products and use them for unapproved indications. So you can issue this is specific to indication. So if it's indicated in adults or indicated in children 12 and older, then you technically can say, oh, and for emergency use, you can authorize it for this group of people, for children, right? That's technically okay if the product was really approved before. But
I see. So you would say, oh, this product is approved, but it's kind of dangerous for young kids. So
yeah,
you shouldn't give it to them, but you can give it to them under EUA. Oh, I understand. Okay,
and
that's how they
in
do it.
fact,
Okay.
a lot of pediatric medications have never been studied in pediatrics, and they are used off-label. It's similar, except I mean they're not issued EUA; they're just allowed off-label use in children.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, off-label use is often often they find out that they have much better off-label use than for the stuff it was actually produced. Um, and then the last thing, now that we have this shiny label on there, informed consent must be given. So that means if you are the doctor, I mean, there should be a bunch of stuff you should say to your patients. So you should tell them, first of all, that it's misbranded. You should tell them that this is actually, if you understand this, part of the informed consent would be that this is misbranded. It has BLA approval, but it doesn't deserve to. That should be one part of the informed consent, I would think. And it should also tell them very specifically that this means that the FDA safety procedures and protocols and all this good manufacturing practices, etc., were not followed. You know, the product didn't go through all these rigorous standards and tests. That should be part of the informed consent. It should also be said that it's still covered by the PrEP Act, and if you die or if you are harmed by them, you will only go to the crappy CICP thing and not get anything. There, you cannot sue anybody. Nobody will care in the least, manufacturer or anybody else, what happens to you. And that I, as the doctor, am only willing to inject it into you because it is covered by the PrEP Act. And if that weren't the case, I would not touch this stuff.
Exactly.
I would not go 6 feet close to you with a syringe in the hand, just in case I might
that would
drop
be
it or something.
Yeah, and that would be actually the truth. And that's what we're asking them to do. We're asking them to tell the truth to the recipients. And then, because, I keep coming back to this. I did have a phone conversation with RFK Jr., not about this petition, but earlier, because we were asking him to revoke PrEP Act. And he told me, well, for every phone call that I receive, like you guys are asking to remove these shots, I get 100 phone calls asking me for these vaccines. And which case,
what a lame answer! What a lame answer, Sasha. Who has RFK's? I would call him. I don't have his. I can't call him. Yeah, there are millions of people who would call him.
I don't want to bash him. I just want to say I understand his difficulties. I understand the hardships of his job.
But that's such a lame answer.
But that's what I'm saying. Look, I get it. And here's my solution to this problem that satisfies your constraints. It satisfies your constraints. You can say, sure, you guys can have it. Just tell the truth. And if you tell the truth, let's see how many phone calls you will receive afterwards asking for these things. It will be zero, well, close to zero. Yeah, there'll be some crazy, very committed vaccine enthusiasts, maybe, still jabbing themselves. But majority of the normal people will say, well, no, thank you.
Well, the only people who can call RFK are people who work in these federal health agencies, or maybe a few people like you and Mary Holland. It's a tiny subset of the American population. Nobody else can just call him. So the people that actually call him, or these are people that are implicated in the whole fraud and crime, or they are people who made a killing with it and want to continue doing that. So this answer is just totally total bullshit.
Well, I know
I think.
he probably receives those phone calls, but they're probably coming from paid activists and lobbyists they hire people for this reason, right?
Yeah, probably from lobbyists. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Okay. And so as the doctor, I would tell them, look, if the PrEP Act weren't there, this would be a criminal offense to inject this in you. And I'm only doing it because no matter what happens to you after the injection, I'm not going to be arrested for it, nor is anybody else.
Exactly.
That's what they should be told.
Yeah.
And
But that's the truth.
it's terrible. Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And he is HHS secretary, so it's probably within his authority to put pressure on Marty McCary or not.
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
Let's see what
happens. Exciting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sasha, for that great petition that you wrote together with us, Children's Health Defense and Booker and all the other guys. That is a brilliant strategy, and I'm very curious to see where it's going to lead us.
Well, yeah,
thank you.
And thank you for a very thorough discussion on it. And it's helping to explain to people all the details.